We throw around the word innovation all the time, right? It's this big kind of abstract buzzword. But what if it didn't have to be? What if you could actually build innovation, manage it, and make it a reliable part of your organization? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're laying out the blueprint for an innovation engine, a real system designed to drive sustainable success. All right, so let's just tackle the big myth right out of the gate. Is innovation just some lucky lightning strike? A random flash of genius that you can only hope to catch in a bottle? For years, that's been the romantic story we've told ourselves. But honestly, what if that story is the very thing holding us back? On one hand, you've got this myth of the eureka moment. It's all about a lone genius, an unpredictable flash of insight. It makes for a great movie, but it's rare and totally impossible to scale. The reality for the world's most innovative companies is completely different. It's a system. It's deliberate, it's repeatable, and it's built for growth because it thrives on collaboration. It's really the difference between waiting for rain and building an irrigation system. Okay, so where do we even begin to build something like this? Well, like any big construction project, you have to start with a survey. So, step one is all about getting a deep understanding of your organization's unique context. I mean, you can't build a skyscraper on a swamp without knowing it's a swamp first, right? Before you can build anything new, you've got to analyze the terrain. And that means both the world outside your walls and the landscape inside them. And let me be clear, this isn't some optional first step. It is the absolute foundation. Everything else is built on this. So, a really robust innovation system is constantly looking outward, scanning the horizon. What's happening with politics and regulations? What are the big economic trends shaping the market? Where is society and culture headed? And of course, what new technologies are bubbling up? These aren't just topics for the news. They are literally the source of your biggest threats and your greatest opportunities. And it's not enough to just look outside. You got to take a really hard, honest look in the mirror. What's your real strategic ambition? What are you truly good at? Not just the stuff you put on your website. How do your current systems actually work? And maybe most importantly, what can you learn from your past successes and your failures? This kind of honest internal audit gives you a realistic starting point. Now, while you're doing all this surveying, you need to figure out who all the key players are, your stakeholders. We're talking customers, employees, partners, investors, even regulators. And here's the crucial part. A truly successful innovation has to create value for all of these groups, not just your own bottom line. All right, so our survey is done. We've got the lay of the land. But a map doesn't do you any good if you don't know where you're going, right? That brings us to step two, the leader's compass. This is all about leaders setting a clear, compelling direction from the very top. And this part is non-negotiable. Innovation cannot be a side hustle that gets delegated to some small team in the basement. Top management has to own it. They have to live it, breathe it, and make it crystal clear to everyone that this is a core priority for the entire organization. So, how does leadership actually provide that direction? Well, it breaks down into three connected pieces. First up is the vision. That's the big, ambitious picture of the future you want to create. Second, you've got the strategy. That's the roadmap explaining why this is the right path and how you're going to move toward that vision. And finally, there's the policy. These are the day-to-day rules of the road that guide decisions and make sure everyone is rowing in the same direction. Look, a weak vision is basically just, let's do what we're already doing, but, 5% better. That doesn't inspire anyone. A powerful innovation vision is intentionally ambitious. It's supposed to stretch the organization, to challenge how things are done today, and to get people excited about a goal that might not even seem possible right now. That's what pulls the future forward. So we've got our map, we've got our destination. Now it's time to talk about the engine itself. Step 3 takes us into the engine room, the real heart of the operation. This is all about the people, the culture, and the collaborative vibe that powers this whole system. Think about it. You can have the best strategy in the world, a brilliant map to an amazing destination, but without fuel in the tank, you're going absolutely nowhere. That fuel? That's your culture and how you collaborate. It's how people behave and interact and solve problems. Without the right fuel, even the best strategy will just stall out on the launch pad. So what does this culture actually look like? What does it feel like to work there? Well, it's a place that absolutely champions curiosity and is open to new ideas. It's a place that encourages experimentation, and this is huge. Treats failure not as something to be punished, but as a valuable way to learn. It's a place that actively seeks out different points of view and makes it safe for people to give and get honest feedback. And the other critical part of that fuel is collaboration. Seriously, the days of the lone genius in a lab are pretty much over. Innovation today is a team sport. And why is that? Because collaboration gives you incredible access to the three things you need most: a wide range of knowledge, specialized skills, and resources that no single person or department could ever have on their own. But just throwing a bunch of people in a room and yelling, "Collaborate," that doesn't work. It has to be intentional. Your partnerships have to line up with your overall strategy. You have to actively embrace diversity in skills and experience. You need clear rules of engagement, especially around things like intellectual property. And it all has to be built on a foundation of trust. It's not a one-and-done thing either. You've got to keep checking in to make sure your partnership still makes sense. All right, let's pull all these pieces together. We started with this idea of innovation being a random lightning strike. And now we have a real blueprint for turning it into a reliable engine. Let's look at how this blueprint becomes tangible action. When you boil it all down, it comes back to these three core steps. First, you survey the land so you know exactly where you're starting from. Second, leadership sets the compass with a bold vision and a clear strategy. And third, you build the engine room by fostering a culture that truly fuels creativity and collaboration. It's a logical, powerful, and most importantly, repeatable process. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. A system, a process, doesn't that just kill creativity? And that is a huge misconception. The opposite is actually true. A good system doesn't put creativity in a cage. It builds a greenhouse for it. It creates the perfect conditions, the right light, the right support, for new ideas to consistently sprout, flourish, and grow strong. So I'll leave you with this final thought. As you think about this blueprint, surveying the land, setting the compass, building the engine, what's the first crack you see in your own organization's approach? Is it a fuzzy vision from the top, a culture that's afraid to fail, or maybe a lack of understanding of what's happening in the world? Because identifying that first crack, that's the first real step to building an engine that will drive you into the future.